Welcome back everyone to Mona's Take. I am your host Mona Rose and we're here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything we have coming up. I want to thank all my new subscribers. Appreciate each and every one of you and look forward to a wild reality TV summer. People are acting on a whole nother level on that. Can't wait to see that karma train coming through. Choo-choo. Mood of the day. Really? You gotta give us more credit than that. Some people, buckle up, buttercup. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the Real Housewives of New Jersey season finale, as well as the trailer for the reunion. I want to apologize up front. Louisiana allergy season is still in full swing, so I'm going to try not to edit the video a whole lot. You may hear me cough or clear my throat or drink my 2 gallons of water that I have over here. So with that being said, let's get started. We saw in the episode that Jackie's having a hard time following through what her therapist has asked her to do, which is add something new each day. She says in her mind she's still not there. It's like having the angel and the devil. You know, the angel saying, hey, your health is in jeopardy. You really got to think about this. And the devil saying, oh, but you're not going to be skinny anymore. So she's still battling that. Evan is still telling her that he's going to do whatever he can do to help her get through this, that they'll work on this together. I actually saw her in a Watch What Happens Live episode here recently, and she did look like, not that she's gained a ton of weight, but she did look like that she's put on a few pounds, and she's actually looking more healthy. So maybe since the episodes have wrapped up, she's actually being able to follow through with her therapy. I hope so. Margaret is still pissed off about Teresa's backhanded apology. And the fact that everybody's giving her props and saying, oh, that was so good. Teresa apologized. No, Teresa made excuses is what Teresa did. But her brother's like, if you know Teresa, it took a lot for her to do that. So let's give her props for at least attempting. And Margaret's like, no, that's what you guys do. You give her a break time and time again and you make excuses for her, and I'm not doing it anymore. Margaret also confronts the group about letting Teresa fat shame her and nobody stepping up and speaking up and saying that it was wrong. Dolores is trying to plan a day for the last day in Nashville. They're going on a bike ride, which is, it's like a little truck that's got bicycle seats all the way around it. It's got a bar in the middle. And they pedal and they drink and they act a fool. And so they're all discussing all of this crap about Teresa while they're having breakfast. And Dolores is like, you know what? I'm sick of all this. This is what I'm doing today. Anybody that wants to come join can. If you don't, that's okay. And I need to go find some holy water to get rid of all this toxic energy that's around. So Dolores is getting tired of the bullshit. She's like, I'm over it. So they go on this bike ride. And as soon as Teresa gets there, she says hello to Margaret. And Margaret is polite and says hello back. They go on this bike ride, they drink a lot, then they go to this hot chicken place for lunch. And Joe Gorga decides that they need to have, the guys need to have a competition on who can eat the most hot chicken. And Jennifer is really amping Bill up because she's like, my husband's, he's got a still stomach and he can out eat all these guys, and she's just really hyping him up. Evan says off the bat, I'm out. I'm not getting involved with that. Joe Joseph says, yeah, no, not for me. I'm good. Y'all go ahead. Louie, Joe Gorga, Frank, and Bill decide that they're going to do this eating challenge. And Louie's the first one out. He takes one bite. He's done. And then Frank eats a little bit, and he's like, I'm out. I'm done. So it's down to Joe Gorga and Bill. And they're both dying. Their eyes are watering. They're sweating. They're coughing. You can just see that it's really getting to them. So they decide to call it a tie, so that they don't have to eat any more of the chicken. And everybody's like, oh, y'all are going to pay for that later. I messed up. Teresa decides, in the middle of lunch, they've got 2 tables that are back to back. It's got, 6 people at one, 7 people at the other, whatever. And Teresa's sitting at the opposite table with Joe and Melissa and Dolores and Frank. And Margaret's sitting at the other table with Jackie and Bill and Jennifer and Evan and all them were at the other one. Well, Teresa decides in the middle, before lunch is ever served, that now she wants to talk to Margaret. And Joe and Melissa are like, not right now, can't this wait? Now's not the time, we're in the middle of lunch, this is our last day here. Let's not do this now. Everybody's been drinking. Not a good time. Well, Teresa doesn't give 2 flips, because in Teresa's world, it's her way or the highway, and she wants to talk, so they're going to talk. So she goes over there and sits down besides Margaret and says, I want to talk. And Margaret's like, now's not a good time. No, we're going to talk, Teresa said. I want to talk, so we're going to talk. And Margaret's like, Teresa, do you really want to run another meal? Now's not a good time. Everybody's been drinking. This is a very emotional, in-depth conversation that we need to have. And now's not the time or the place. And Teresa keeps arguing with her. No, we're going to talk because I said I want to talk and I want to talk, so we're going to talk. And they go back and forth for a few minutes. And finally, Teresa realizes that she's not going to get anywhere. Joe and everybody's on her to come back over to the table. Now's not the time. Can't she just let it go? Da-da-da. So she finally gets up and goes back to her table. So they finish their meal in peace. And Jennifer, of course, I swear to God, she's like a hemorrhoid on Teresa's ass. Because she's always up her ass. Sister Margaret, well, don't you think that was nice that she came over here and that she wanted to talk? And Margaret's like, no, I don't think it's nice. I think she's making a scene. It's her way or the highway. And I don't want to talk here. Jennifer said, well, it was nice that she at least attempted. It makes me sick. It honestly makes me sick to watch Jennifer just glorify Teresa. Teresa can do no wrong in Jennifer's eyes, period. So it's the last night that they're in Nashville. And Dolores arranges for them to go to a rooftop restaurant. And they've got like a little, not tiki bar, but like tent set up where the girls are in one, the guys are in the other. And they have food that's brought out, and they're drinking, and everybody's getting along. Of course, Teresa and Louie haven't shown up yet. But they're getting along, and they're laughing, and they're cutting up, and they're talking, and Louie and Teresa show up. Louie immediately pulls Joe Gorga and says, "Can I talk to you?" So they go over and they sit down and they start talking, and Louie basically tells Joe that he loves his sister and that he knows that her father's gone and that Joe's the next best thing, I guess, or next in line, and that he's planned a trip for him and Teresa to go to Italy, and he wants to propose to Teresa, but he wants Joe's blessing. And Joe talks to him and says, "Well, I see that you make my sister happy. I appreciate that you came to me man to man. That gives me respect for you. But I've got to ask you about all these rumors that are going around. Are they true? What's going on before I can give you my blessing?" And of course, we hear how he is in these bad toxic relationships, that he got involved with these thirsty, how did he put it? Thirsty, low-life women, and that he was never abusive. Now, we keep hearing this. Every time anything is asked about any of these allegations, these women are thirsty. These women are thirsty. Well, they weren't thirsty when he was begging them for forgiveness. They weren't thirsty when he was begging them to take him back. I think that I've always said, if you fight with everyone, there's one common denominator, and that is you. I feel that way with Louie. All these women are saying basically the same thing. He's cut their tires. He slashed their tires. He stalked them. He's had road rage incidents with them. He's been abusive to them in front of their children. This is a pattern. And the one common denominator is him. One woman may be lying, couple of women may be lying, but all the women that he's ever been involved with are coming out to air out their dirty laundry. He's the center of it all. He's abusive. He's controlling. I just don't think that it's... I don't think that we're getting the whole story. I would tend to believe the women because I see a lot of red flags in Louie. And especially during this episode, I saw a couple, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Joe takes him at his word and gives him his blessing. So Teresa finally sits down with Margaret, and they go off to a table by themselves. And you can see Joe Josephs tell Joe Gorga, if your sister comes in aggressive, it's not going to go well. Well, they sit down, and Teresa starts explaining to Margaret how she's in love and that she doesn't understand if she's her friend while she's not backing her and while she's talking about her, and this freaking love bubble that I'm sick of hearing about. And that she wouldn't want to pop her love bubble. It's so stupid. And, why wouldn't you come to me instead of talking about all of this behind my back? And Margaret says, Teresa, I did come to you. She said, I came to you as soon as the video came out. And I told you, you need to get ahead of this. Louie's got to talk about this. He's got to get ahead of this. She said, you know me, I'm all about getting ahead of stuff. She said, when I came on this show, I said I cheated on my husband with the contractor. We divorced. I married the contractor. And she's like, you know, I got ahead of my stuff before it ever came out. She said, because I'm all about getting ahead of it. Well, Teresa didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to talk about it. She said, I didn't want to talk about it. It's his past. I don't care about his past. All I care about is to stay in his future. And Margaret says, well, you can't make it go away by pretending that it doesn't exist. And Teresa is saying again that she, you know, Louis didn't ask for all of this. He just fell in love with her, and that she's trying to protect him. And Margaret tells her, if he's a good man, he doesn't need to be protected. If all of this is lies, he doesn't need to be protected. And that is true. Teresa tells Margaret to leave him alone. And that sets Margaret off. And she says, Teresa, I've never been anything but good to you. I've been behind you 100%. And she starts yelling about all the things that she did. You fat shamed me. You talked about how my ass was jiggly. You had Danielle pull my hair. You threw a whole table of drinks and stuff on me. You called me a whore. You called me a you know what I'm talking about, C word. You told me you were going to beat my ass. All of this. And she said, I've never done anything but taken up for you. And Teresa says, I could say ditto. And Margaret says, really? Ditto? And Teresa says, vice versa. And she said, vice versa? She said, are you kidding me? She says, you know what? I'm effing done. I'm done with you. I'm over it. This is it. And she turns to walk away. Well, by this time, Lois already came over to the table. Joe's already came over to the table. So her and Joe are walking away. And Lois says, thank you. You have a good night. And Margaret turns around and just looks at him and is like, oh. That to me was number one. Talking about red flags. He should not have got in the middle of that. He was trying to be intimidating. He was trying to be a smart ass. And then, he tells Teresa in a very loud voice, this was not quiet. Anybody that was standing around could have heard. He tells Teresa that Margaret's making her work too hard for an apology and that she doesn't have to dance for anyone. He says he's not there to audition for Margaret and that she's starving to sit in Teresa's seat. Do you understand me? She's starving to sit in your seat. He starts sweating. Jennifer comes over and asks Teresa what happened. Louis pacing back and forth. He starts sweating. His face is red. And he tells her, come on, I'm done. I don't need this. I'm a good man. I work hard, and you never have to work another day in your life if you don't want to. And he's yelling this out for everyone to hear. And then he says, I just want to get in a jet and go home. That's it. I'm done. Let's go. Oh, but when he was talking about how he worked hard and she had never had to work a day in her life again if she didn't want to, he said, What a blessing is that? That's a blessing. How awesome is that? Well, at this point, it shows Margaret back over the table with the girls. And she says, I was right about Siggy. I was right about Danielle. And I'm going to be right about Louie. She's got a point. Like I said, Louie's heated. He's red. He's sweating. He's pacing. And he says, let's go. You don't have to do this anymore. Let's go home and move into our 50,000 square foot house. I love you. This is from across the room. He's cocky. He's arrogant. He's flashing the money. It's already been said that Evan and Jackie have more money than anybody on that show. And I think Bill and Jennifer run a close second. So for him to be so cocky about his money and what they have, I was like, you're a jackass. That was exactly what I thought. So that's how it ended for the finale. Now, I think that Louie wants the TV show more than Teresa does. I think Louie likes playing that role. And there's a new video that came out today, and I can't remember who shared it. I think it was Real Moms of Bravo TV. And one of his exes sent in a video that he had sent her. And if you listen to him, he's talking to this woman. He's sending her in this video talking about how he feels. You would think he was talking about Teresa, because he said all the same things to Teresa that he said to that woman. I think he's a narcissist. I think that what Joe Giudice put her through is going to be nothing compared to what Louie puts her through. If she does not do a prenup, she is an idiot. She has no brain cells whatsoever if she does not do a prenup. That's my opinion. We'll see how this goes, and if I have to eat crow, I eat crow. But I'm generally a pretty good judge of character, and I'm a people watcher. I can normally smell bullshit from a mile away. And I've got a pretty hefty smell of this man right now. So we'll see how it turns out. Now, the trailer for the reunion. If you have not seen it, it is explosive. I saw Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen the other night, and he was talking about it, and he said he has never been that mad in his life. At one point, he's seen yelling at all the women. On Watch What Happens Live, he said, I've never been that angry in my life. He said, there was a couple times I thought about walking off the set. He said, but then that would have taken us even longer. He said, I've never been so frustrated in my life. So, I think it's going to be a good reunion. It's going to be a 3-part reunion. And I'm going to break down the trailer a little bit. Jennifer is seen yelling at Bill. I think at some point Dolores is asking her if her marriage was happy. And Jennifer said it was until she, pointing to Margaret, brought out the affair. And then she's seen later on hollering at Bill, saying, just clear the effing air, Bill. Just effing speak. And so she's wanting him to finally take ownership, I think. From the way the trailer looks. We'll see if that's what it is or not. But she was highly pissed off. We see Joe Gorga walking off the set, saying that he quits, he's done. This is after Teresa is seen yelling at him backstage about Joe Joseph. Joe Joseph was standing right there with him, about how Margaret and him were talking about her, and that he ought to be taken up for her, and he ought to be slapping him upside his head. And then at some point on stage, whenever Joe is saying something about Jennifer calling him a crook, Jennifer says something about little bitch boy, and Joe says, are you going to let her talk about your brother like that? You're always saying take up for you. You never take up for me. And Teresa's like, well, you are a little bitch boy. Something about you ought to be a housewife. And just, on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen the other night, Melissa was on there. And she had said that she had not spoke to Teresa since the reunion was filmed. I already said something about Andy getting so mad because the ladies were talking over him and over each other, and he couldn't get a word in edgewise. And you see him just like, oh, just shut up, everybody. And he loses it there for a minute. Now, we also see Andy confronts Louis about the rumors. He says that there's been rumors of road rage incidents. There's been rumors of you slashing tires. There's been rumors of you stalking. There's been rumors of you being abusive in front of women's children. Is any of that true? Now, from Louis, I think we're going to get the same response we've gotten all season. Oh, they were thirsty. Maybe even a lowlife like he threw in last night. So I'm sure that's probably the response we'll get from him. I don't know. But I am curious to see how Teresa responds to Andy asking the questions. We know how she responded to Margaret. Let's see how she responds to Andy. We have Margaret saying that Louis lied on camera. And Teresa losing her mind. Which he did lie on camera. He said that the video was a breakup video at one point. When anybody who's watched the video can clearly see that he was begging a woman to take him back, that he was begging for forgiveness, that he was apologizing for what he had done to her. It wasn't a video of him breaking up with someone. Jennifer accuses Dolores of having a hidden agenda at one point, and Dolores calls her an effing C word. We've seen Teresa calling Jackie a bitch, and Jackie saying, "Don't call me a bitch." The whole Margaret bringing out Bill's affair. To be fair, Jennifer's went for her hard for the last 3 years. Jennifer has talked about her cheating. She talked about her mother cheating. How Margaret learned from Marge Sr. how it was done because she was a cheater. So, she's pushed Margaret's buttons for 3 years. And I think Margaret just finally said, you know what, asshole, I'll get you. And I honestly do think that Margaret, when she said it, thought that Jennifer would do her whole denial thing like she's always done, and that she would just bounce back from it. I don't think Margaret ever dreamt that Jennifer would admit to the affair. So, to be fair, Jennifer asked for it. You could only poke a bear so long before that bear bites back. At one point, Margaret's saying, that she couldn't run a happy marriage. If it was truly happy, she couldn't have run it. The fact that Teresa is not letting Melissa be in her wedding came up. And Teresa said, no, she's not in my wedding. It's my wedding. I'm doing what I want to. And this is how it's going to be done. And Melissa claps back and says, you just remember who's been there with you through all your bullshit. And she said, what happened to you always hollering, family, family, family. I love family. Well, that's bullshit, Melissa tells her. So they're, as far as I know, as of now, as of yesterday, they still aren't speaking. I don't know if they'll be able to come back from this. I know that Margaret Joseph did an interview today, and she said, usually with the reunions, there's some resolve. And she said, but there was no resolution. She said a lot of people left feeling just as aggravated as they felt coming in, and that there was little to no resolution, that it only got worse. So we'll see how that goes. Dolores and Frank seem to have some tension over her new boyfriend. Andy asked Frank what he thought of him, and Frank was honest and said that they didn't see eye to eye. Paul, I think is his name. And Dolores turned around and cut Frank a look that could kill. And Andy said, what's wrong? You look like you're pissed off right now. So I'm assuming that that was a subject that was between Frank and Dolores that was supposed to be off camera, and Frank wasn't supposed to discuss it. We'll see how that turns out. But Dolores wasn't happy that he even started to have that conversation. And we know that Dolores has moved back into the house now. She's out of her townhouse and back into the house. So it's Frank and her and the kids living in the house together. So I can see as a new boyfriend might have a problem with that. Might have a problem with that relationship. I can see where Frank may feel a little threatened because, with David, him and David were buddies. David understood the dynamic between Frank and Dolores, and Frank being on the show. I don't think Paul is, I think that is his name's Paul. I don't think the new boyfriend is having such an easy time with that dynamic. So we'll find out on the reunion how he feels about that. But it also made me think. The Real Housewives of New Jersey are the only ones where the men get paid too. So if Dolores and this new boyfriend end up making a go of this, and he starts filming with her, are they going to push Frank out? I hope not. I think Frank is a big part of the show. I know he's got a lot of fans. I think he's level-headed. He's a voice of reason a lot of times. So I hope that this does work out with her and her new boyfriend. But I also hope that in the process it doesn't knock Frank out of the show. I hope not anyway. Jackie talks about her eating disorder. She says that it was hard for her to talk about it on camera, but that she wanted to erase some of the stigma that's behind eating disorders and let people know that there is help out there and that they don't have to fight it alone. And I commend her for that. That's a hard pill to swallow sometimes when you've got such a battle going on in your mind that doesn't make sense to a lot of people. I can see where you would feel alone. So I'm hoping that she's doing better with that. And actually seeing her on Watch What Happens Live with Andy the other night, they said she did look a little healthier. Not many pounds it looks like she's gained, but you can see her face filling out a little bit where it's not so sunken in like it was. You can't see her ribs in the dress that she was wearing. So I'm hoping that she can get that she can beat that and become healthy and stay healthy. So that's about it. It looks like 3-part reunion is going to be explosive. Tell me in the comments what you think about everything, where you see this going. I am a bit disappointed with the season. The shortness of the season, I feel like they tried to cram too much crap into, a few episodes. A lot of people like the shorter seasons. Tell me what you think. Other than that, that's about all I have for you guys tonight. And until next week, have a good night. And as always, much love.